And advisedly calling you members of our family because we may have lost our officers who are your spouses or members of your family, but by dint of the fact that we work together with them, you remain part and parcel of us, and you are part of our extended family as we go forward. Let me begin first of all by conveying very sincere greetings and regards from His Excellency, our President, President Uhuru Kenyatta, who knows that we are here. Last week, when we had a pass-out parade here at APTC, the Inspector General and I had an opportunity to brief him in detail on how we are progressing on this program. And actually, truth be told, I personally am really grateful and I'm touched. I thank the Lord for the opportunity I have to serve my country, but I even thank Him more for our President. This idea began when we lost some officers in Northeastern and we went to visit them. A few days earlier, we had lost one of our GSU officers at Dusi too, and a good number of us had traveled to Taita Taveta to bury our officer. And we came together as a team, our colleagues from the prison service and the police, and tried to help the parents of that officer to put up a house. After that very painful experience, when we went there, we came back, and when we were briefing the President told us, you know, you people, it's time for you to start thinking in a much more humane way. Have you ever thought of getting the families of our officers who die in the line of duty and reaching out to them? Have you thought about looking after these families? Because this is how we will demonstrate that we are a family of human beings and a society that cares for each other. And most importantly, this is how we even encourage our officers who are in service that much as they commit themselves to serve, if unfortunately, God forbid, any one of them loses their lives in the course of duty, their family will not be destituted and forgotten. And out of that challenge by the President, we came together with my colleagues who are here and started working on this. We didn't have a budget for it, so we started talking to people around, partners, friends, who would help us raise a little money to hold the one activity at the end of the year and bring these families together. And that's how some of our spouses offered to help from their places of work, and their friends put contributions to us and said, look, we can support you because that is a noble cause. And they said that, you know, for us, probably that's the only thing we can do to support you in the work you do. Find a way of supporting you to reach out to the families of those who die in the line of duty. And by the grace of God, we are here in the third year, and now we're saying this morning when we were meeting there that this thing is getting institutionalized as we go along. I want to speak to you sincerely as a public officer and say how grateful I am to my colleagues who are seated here. DIG Mbogwa, for example, our Deputy Inspector General in charge of police service, and DIG Gabo. When we started this discussion, these two gentlemen, because of their experience and because of the work they had done, are the ones who gave us ideas and said, maybe let us actually try it. It has not been done before. Let us see how we can put form and sense into this. Then slowly we started building a community of people who believe in this, DCI, the GSU commandant, Mr. Kanja, and all these wonderful people, and we are here. I sincerely thank you all, my colleagues, for showing the heart of love to the families of our officers. Let me say this to you. However strong you are, and sometimes we believe that we are strong people. My service in this Ministry of Interior has taken me through sometimes untold pain and suffering. There's nothing as painful as being told to go to Wilson Airport to receive the bodies of officers who are being flown from some part of the country where they have died. There's nothing that is more painful than going to the mortuary sometimes to meet the families of the people we have lost as they come to collect the bodies of the officers. I have visited so many families. With the Inspector General, I've been to so many parts of the country when we have lost our senior officers. Sometimes sitting in some of those homes with the families and particularly looking at the young kids will drive you to tears, however strong you are. You know, when the IG and I went the other day to Kimani's place, the officer we lost during the contact with Al-Shabaab here in Kiambu, it was so painful to see his mother and his young wife and children. And even more painful to note that this is one of our officers who was so driven, so determined. He had served for a short time, yet you can see how he was very organized. He was already putting up a house for himself. He was organizing his mother, you know, and his life was cut short by a terrorist bullet. Even in those difficult circumstances, we still thank the Lord that we are pulling along and we are going along. And I thank my colleagues who are seated here on the dais. These men and women who are here, these wonderful people of God that I work with, we always come together and always keep moving. I want to tell you that the death of Tebakol, I think, to be honest with you, amongst us in the security sector, it's something that caused us so much pain. And I pray, much as we may forget, much as we may say we are going to forgive people, I have told the GSU commandant and the operations people that we are working with that as long as God gives us life, I would like us to pursue the killers of Tebakol to the gates of hell. This is our senior officer, so committed, so dedicated, on duty, ambushed by thugs, and killed just because he was on duty. And many of the people that we have lost, you know, the officers we lost the other day in an ambush in Laikipia, and some of our gallant officers we have lost in the hands of terrorists. I want you to know this. We feel the pain you feel. And all of us are united in making sure that we do whatever we can do as human beings, whatever the Lord will enable us to do. We will not replace your loved ones, but we will try the best we can, by the grace of God, to make your life bearable as you walk the rest of the journey in this life without your spouses. We are so proud of them because we know that they died in defense of our country. We have less funerals across the country because of the work that the brave men and women in uniform in this country do. The risks that our people take, the commitments they have to ensure that they keep our country safe. And every time our police officers, especially the special teams, they run towards danger when everyone runs away from danger. they dress to go out there and face challenges when everyone else comes in away from the challenges. So we sincerely love you as government. And I came here, as I have done the last 2 years, we've done this on behalf of our committed, our dedicated president, to tell you that President Kenyatta feels for you. And this is something that concerns him, is something that he talks about, is something that he focuses on. And as we step to the next level to institutionalize how we are going to support you, our president leads the way because he feels it for the security people, and he spends a lot of his time thinking about the welfare of our men and women in uniform. And so for us in the security sector, we will continue to work with you, to support you in your families, and do as much as we can humanly manage. I need to make a few points about how I think we need to organize ourselves as we go forward. Because we have sorted out or tried to sort out this issue of insurance. But you know, IG, I want to say this. KDF has been very successful, and Brigadier Warioba here can testify that there is a system, an institutionalized system of ensuring that every serving officer gives us records of their next of kin and so on, so that we avoid situations we find ourselves in. Because let's be very practical and very sincere. Some of these young widows who are here, if they are going to spend half their money and half their times in court because another woman has come up, some other relative has come up, and you see, for us being an institution, we are bound by the law, and if we are served with court orders, we are basically stalled. We cannot move. So one way of avoiding this is we now have to insist and have a system where all our officers have to file accurate records about next of kin as we go forward. We're not asking too much. If you have not formally married, look, we have clergy here. And IG, we can encourage this clergy here to now start encouraging officers to get formally married. These wonderful people will not fail to conduct a wedding ceremony for you. You don't have to have a lot of money. Amara Mnangani. Yeah, they will not fail to pray for you, conduct a wedding for you. And we have worship places even within our camps. Go home, bring your spouse. We have our bishops here. We have worship places within our services. Let's go there. Let's wed you formally. And let the Inspector General have the records. This is my wife. So that, unfortunately, and God forbid, when something goes wrong, we are not struggling with people who are emerging, because virtually any Alice or Mary or Jane will turn up. But when we have accurate records that say, this is your lawfully wedded wife, and you are wedded on this day, and this record is there, for us, we are bound by that. We will go on and pay your next of kin on record and ask that Alice or wherever he is to go meet you in court and sort yourselves in court. But we will have paid you because you are the one we know is lawfully on record. Please be seated. So I want to encourage us, the clergy within the services, let us now make this our major campaign as we go forward. The service commanders who are here, across all denominations, let us encourage our officers to live responsibly. We have Muslim clergy here, and we will wed you. I'm sure he will conduct a wedding ceremony for you. And let's have your records so that we don't have problems of, all these court cases. Because all these young widows who have small kids like this, they spend their time in court, fighting with somebody they are now meeting for the first time because they were not in their lives. We can protect our officers better, and especially our officers' families, if we insisted on this system. And I want to encourage you, the clergy in the service, we have a job to do. In addition to counseling our officers, in addition to engaging with our officers, please spend a lot of your time encouraging our young officers to live responsibly. marry properly. I mean, honestly, I can speak about this with as much passion as I can. Marry properly. Go to a priest, go to the imam, and declare your spouse and get married, so that you have proper documents, proper papers, and you are an organized person. Ukora ya huko is what gives us problems, and our families get into trouble when we have lost officers in the line of duty. Secondly, therefore, I would like to ask that with effect from now, IG, let us start developing our digital inventory of these families, all of them, so that we have all their records and all the information about them. Because all these opportunities that come up that we try to assist them and give them, we can do even better when we have accurate records. We took very serious counsel from DIG Mbowa, because he knows many of these officers and many of the way in which these officers behave. Let us sit down, get a small team, establish a digital record of, of these families and see how best we can help them, as it were. I would suggest that even in the personnel department, now we are going to have a special desk that pays attention to the families of our fallen officers, so that we can do a bit of outreach and get to know what is going on. Because, for example, IG, since we went to Inspector Kinywa's home, you and I in Nyeri that time, we haven't been back. And frankly, I feel even guilty that I do not know how they are progressing. We helped his daughter, but there was another child who was in school at that time. We haven't followed through that. And you see, if we have an established digital record, it can be availed to our regional commanders, so that on behalf of the Inspector General, the regional commander is able to check around the family of our foreign officers. Let's operate in a much more organized manner than we are operating at this point in time. Finally, we will continue to work together, and I assure you of our support. Usually in occasions like this, we don't live in a hurry. I would like to talk to some of you. Some of you have challenges that we can solve, and I want to encourage all our senior officers who are here, IG. Hakuna mtu anatoka hapa. Those officers are there. Tukae sisi wote. These families, if any one of them has a problem they think we need to solve, we did it last year, and you saw what happened. We are here to serve you. Our responsibility is you. So today we are going to dedicate some of our time after we have had lunch to sit and talk to you. Those of you who think the questions they want to ask us, we are here to answer those questions. But let us finally, all of us understand. And I like what the Commissioner General said. Life is what it is. No one wishes for some things to happen. We get frustrated also. Like we wake up in the morning, like we woke up this morning today, and we found out that one of our officers in Dagoretti has taken his life and 5 other lives in the process. We are investigating the matter, and our internal affairs unit officers are there. DCI Kinodi's team has been there. We want to get to the bottom of that incident. And we will go the direction investigations will point us. All I want to plead with my fellow Kenyans is let us exercise a sense of responsibility. You know, our country is here today, it will be there tomorrow, and it will be there forever. We have built institutions over the years, painstakingly. And we have institutions that are strong enough to deal with the challenges that we face. It's so painful to see how some of us, I actually wonder whether some of our people are really human beings or they're animals. You know, how people trivialize a serious issue like that. They drag porojo in politics. They go on social media. They want to score points. They want to spin rumors and all manner of nonsense. And yet we have a grave issue before us that we are dealing with. And when a matter of this kind happens, the responsible thing to do is to come together, investigate the matter, and find out what exactly happened. the day some of us, not all of us, because the majority of Kenyan people are wonderful people. Over 90% of us are responsible people. We have a small fraction of funny people, who I think either they're idle in life. I don't know what's wrong with them, because some of them don't look like they are normal people. Because why would you wake up in the morning and now start trivializing a serious issue like that? Go into social media, start spinning stories, insulting everyone, insulting the Inspector General of Police, insulting every Tom, Dick, and Harry. What kind of society are we building, actually, when we behave that way? And these people call themselves leaders. They call themselves opinion shapers, and so on and so forth. Please, I ask you, wonderful people, ignore those kinds of people. Let us focus on what we will do institutionally and act responsibly. We will investigate that incident in Dagoretti and get to the bottom of the matter. We are concerned, and I am the first one to admit here as the minister, there is no reason to actually lie or even hide about this. We have had challenges of various kinds across the countries, not only in the police service, mental health challenges, social pressures and problems. I mean, cases of homicides that we are dealing with out there, not even within the police service, are huge. There are some counties in Kenya, for example, I don't want to name them so that I create stigmatization, for certain regions of the country. There are counties in the country where we have, seen a spike in some of these cases recently. We have been having meetings with faith-based organizations and leaders, especially the clergy, asking them, let us now work together. This is not going to be a matter of the police or a matter of the provincial administration or a matter of, it is going to take all of us to deal with this issue. While the clergy are dealing with it in their organizations, they are dealing with it with their faithfuls, Nyumba Kumi and the elders are working on it, and family counseling is happening, and it requires all of us because these challenges are real, they are there. We have had some of our young people who have abused drugs and they're doing strange things. We have some of our young people who may be having challenges and they cannot cope with the challenges they have. Now, honestly, as responsible people, what is it that we need to do other than come together and try to resolve these problems? Trivializing these issues, rushing social media, calling the Inspector General names, insulting everybody, the CS and all that, that is not the way to solve our problems. The way to resolve this is to come together and work together. Find out, we have institutions here that will investigate the matter. The Internal Affairs Unit on it, DCI and others are on it. We get the facts, we find out what there is culpability, and we go the direction, the investigations point us. And we keep working. That's how we are going to build a strong and responsible society. Because these problems are not going to end today, they won't end tomorrow either, and even if we solve these ones, we will have others that we'll need to deal with. It requires that we be much more responsible than I'm seeing in some of our fellow citizens. And I keep asking my colleagues in the security sector, don't be distracted by those, let's remain focused, and let's do what we have to do in the service of our country. Because those noises, those distractions are too few to worry us. It's very unfortunate what happened in Dagoretti, very unfortunate. And it's painful every time we deal with that in the police service. But I believe we will get the details of the matter. Chances are that at the face value, from what I've been told by the police officers, it looks like a love triangle gone awry, but I can't even come to conclusions. I mean, it's actually unfair and completely irresponsible to run sideline commentaries while an investigation is going on. We don't know what happened. The victims will be profiled, information will be put together, and we will get to the bottom of that incident. But please, clergy, reach out to the wider community of the faithfuls across the country. Let us reach out to our socio-cultural structures for counseling, for help for our young people, and let us spend time with our officers, especially the young ones, and then guide them and tell them that when frustrations come in life, turning the gun on yourself is not a solution, and turning it on other people is not the solution. If you disagree with a man or a woman, God has created enough of those around. There are plenty of men and plenty of women. Just calm down, talk to someone else, and compose yourself and get along life. Otherwise, if we lose out the structures that govern and control us, we will lose out on our society. So I am the first one as a minister to send my heartfelt condolences to the families of the victims of the Dagoretti incident this morning. I am frankly frustrated by incidents of that kind, but I would also like to responsibly let DCI Kinoti and his people and Amin and the Internal Affairs Unit work on it. And in the next 2 to 3 days, they will tell us what exactly happened and where we are supposed to act. We will act. If we find that there are failures, we will address them as we go forward. Finally, I wish you all the best, those of you who are here, and those that will not have an opportunity to talk to, as we cross over to the festive season, and ask fellow Kenyans that we exercise a measure of responsibility to avoid disastrous cases like the one we are dealing with in Kitui. We have sent out a cable to all our provincial administration teams across the country, and IG has done that to the police command, where we sense that there are going to be challenges, especially mud, slide-prone areas. Our security people will move the populations, and they will insist that the populations move so that we don't get into a problem where when rivers are flooding and it's not safe to move, we will encourage Kenyan citizens, please exercise caution and let's be patient with each other. Otherwise, some of these challenges are here with us, and it's only caution that will help us move forward. So as we go to the festive season, we wish you all the best, but we will remain on duty. For us in the security sector, we don't take leave. We are on duty throughout to ensure that even as you take leave, you move around with a measure of security cover and protection. May the Lord bless you indeed. And for the families that are here, in addition to supporting you as we do today, and as we will meet with some of you, we will also continue to pray for you, that the Lord strengthens you. And as the Commissioner General read for us from Isaiah, that the Lord may hold you with his mighty right hand. That do not be discouraged because you are widowed today. The Lord we worship looks after widows. And the Lord will step into that gap, and he will comfort you and he will lead you. Do not lose faith. Keep walking. The challenge may appear serious now. The loneliness may be there. You will miss your spouse, but the Lord will not forsake you. So keep depending on him and pray for all of us so that we stand together as a family as we continue to serve our great country. May the Lord bless you.